Hey, what's good, y'all? I'm Foster Vestal III. I'm a third-year biology student from Raleigh, North Carolina, and attend North Carolina A&T. And this is my Assignment 3, Chapter 8, Intersections of Race, Ethnicity, and Dress assignment. The title being Sneakers, Corporate Attitudes in the Black Lives Matter Movement, an interview with sneaker expert Sean Williams by Travis DePoise. All right, I'm going to jump into the first question. How are sneakers used as a tool for social and political discourse at the time you were reading this essay? Yeah, the use of shoes to promote different social activism groups was super prevalent in the NFL, the NBA. Yeah, super prevalent in 2020. During that like COVID era, yeah, I think even during the bubble, they had different things written on the different sidelines and things just to commemorate Black Lives Matter, and that was super impactful. But I'd say in 2025, the landscape has kind of shifted. I don't believe shoes are a huge medium for social discourse anymore. I feel like the article is kind of like 2020 coded in a way. Uh, writing ACAB on your shoes is kind of neoliberal progressivism in a way. Like it doesn't really help anybody. It does spread a message, but to make actual change in our actual lives, it doesn't really do much, in my opinion. All right, I'm gonna hop right into the next question. In what other ways has the fashion industry supported the Black Lives Matter movement? Is the fashion industry part of this message? I feel like you can make a 30-minute long video on the ins and outs of why it's a yes or no, but I do say yes and no because yes, the Black Lives Matter movement allowed difficult conversations about race to become demystified, bottom up, not top down though. Meaning basically it's the black people that actually work in these industries that are now emboldened to speak on the issues that they're facing, and that's impactful, that's meaningful. But I'd also say no because that doesn't necessarily correlate to structural changes. Plus the lack of black creative directory in these major fashion houses that can actually change the direction of the fashion landscape. But I also feel like there's a lot of other things to consider when you say stuff like that, because I mean the landscape did change. Like we had a lot of big deaths. Um, Karl Lagerfeld in 2019, Andre Leon Talley in 2022, Virgil Abloh in 2021. ASAP Bari metaphorically died in 2019. But then that kind of brings me to my greater point, that the fashion landscape has now shifted to being more for profit. When we go back to that lack of black directory, black creative directory, you look at the major houses right now. Olivier Rousteing at Balmain, of course, goated, just great. But then you look, Pharrell at Louis Vuitton, he doesn't really have any fashion education. ASAP Rocky at Ray-Ban, he has no fashion education. Jaden Smith at Louboutin, no fashion education. But then it kind of shows you that these people are being brought in for their emphasis on making money. Like these people are able to push the brands to make more money with these black ideas and black dollars, which is something to think about. And then we even look to like who are the next black creatives in fashion. It's like Tremaine Emery with Denim Tears, Ian Connor with Sicko, Moa Lola, Telfar, Kanye at Yeezy with his own brand, Body by Raven. All these brands are for profit. You know what I'm saying? So when you're trying to look to like social activism in fashion, it can't happen under a capitalistic society, sadly. It's just people trying to make money. And you can't blame them either because that's where we are in our society right now. We're more finance based. Things are getting a little bit scary. And sadly, you see really good black creatives get squeezed out. I mean, you think about Tracy Reese and Kirby Raymond. Their brands are struggling. Pyre Moss struggling to stay afloat. All right, into my next question. How does the article suggest consumers, especially within marginalized communities, can influence corporate behavior? Provide examples from the article and your own experience or research. I think, namely, the biggest one from the article was Colin Kaepernick and how when Nike actually used his advertisements, they had a boost from younger people buying the shoes. But again, you see the same parallels where everything is kind of based around money. Like the money talks. We'll do whatever y'all need to do to make as much money as possible, which is kind of my biggest issue with this article. Um, the author really doesn't consider that Nike is a billion-dollar corporation and that they don't care about social activism at all. In fact, that they often have massive human rights abuses in China with the Uyghur Muslims that he doesn't mention at all. Um, just something to think about, but it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around Nike doing anything for black people when they have human rights abuses going back to the 1970s, you know. All right, and the last and final question being reflect on your own personal relationship with fashion or consumer brands. Have you ever considered how your purchases align with your values? How might this article influence your future choices? I say already I only buy from brands that aren't overtly against minorities. I feel like all, again, capitalistic society businesses have to kind of do whatever they need to stay afloat for profit, but there definitely is ethical consumption that you can do with the research you do for these brands. But at the same time, I buy stuff from people that are not good. But I have to mention here, I just unboxed these shoes from Kanye. This is awful. I'm not gonna lie. This is the worst shoe I've ever touched ever. I've had better shoes at K&G. Like, this is wild. I'm not gonna lie. I had to complain about it somewhere. Yeah, I guess I bit the bullet for it because he's a, Kanye is not a good person anymore. But thank you.